One night, there was a massive attack by a terrible creature. An exorcist fought alone against it. Although alone, he had enough strength to defeat all his enemies. But that night, he was unlucky. He lost everything he had fought for. In his next life, he was born as a third son named Saikyou. He was a descendant of a noble family who had expertise in the field of magic. Unlike his adopted brother, Saikyou has absolutely no magical energy because he was born by a different mother. He is also often teased and played with by his older brother. But even though he doesn't have magic energy, his body is filled with the power of the spirit. This power is of course very suitable for a former exorcist like himself. Saikyou can summon his father's love animals with leaves. He can also control them to avoid being bullied by his older brother. Now Saikyou is 7 years old, but because he is the daughter of a mistress, there is no one to celebrate. Most people just ignored him, so he had plenty of time to do things like make talismans. His brother Gray is very confident in his magical powers. He uses it to mock Saikyou, who doesn't have magical energy. That day, Gray and Louv were going to practice their magic powers in front of their father. Because they were curious, he asked their father to see them. The two brothers could control magic well. Then Gray tries to challenge Saikyou so that he also tries. Saikyou accepts his challenge by assuming that the strong always take what belongs to the weak. Saikyou shows blue fire magic to surprise them. After that, Saikyou told his father. He also wanted to learn magic, but the request was rejected because there was no history of wizards being born without magic, only that Saikyou would be given a private teacher like his older brothers. When Saikyou was 11 years old, he tried to summon the father of love whom he had previously tamed. The summoning could be said to have been successful, but because of the influence of the power of his spirit, his form became that of a child the same age as him. When he was a teenager, Gray got into trouble with his father's slave, Yeva. Because Yeva made a mistake, he took advantage of the opportunity to abuse her. Knowing this, Saikyou immediately defended him. He would not let Yeva be abused by his brother. Then Yeva showed the little monster that was injured. Saikyou secretly restored the monster with the power of his spirit. Yeva thinks Saikyou has healing magic. According to Yeva, Saikyou is a great person even though others say she doesn't have magic. Saikyou also knows that Yeva is special. She realizes this because she often sees her eyes following animal spirits several times. Saikyou can only see her spirit, while Yeva seems to see something beyond that. After the secret was revealed, Yeva admitted that she could interact with natural spirits, an ability that Saikyou does not have. In his previous life, he wanted to meet someone who had that talent, but it was unexpected that he could find him so quickly. Saikyou asks if Yeva intends to use magic. He will teach her to use magic even though she doesn't have magic energy. Saikyou tested this by summoning fire that approached the nature spirit. He wanted to find out if the spirit would listen to him. After many tries, Yeva finally succeeded in doing so. The fire suddenly disappeared when he told it to disappear. Since then, they have been practicing regularly until it doesn't feel like they have been through a year. At the age of 12, there was an incident where a monster attacked them while the others fled to safety. Saikyou rushed out to check on them. Then when Saikyou wanted to tame the monster, everyone admired him and thought he defeated the monster with one attack.
Eva
Thanks to their victory over the monster, they had a meal together. His father says Saikyou has achieved extraordinary achievements. He thinks defeating such a creature is difficult even for veterans. Therefore, he felt obliged to give him a gift. Saikyou had a request. Until today, he had spent time studying magic alone. As a respected member of his family, he wanted his powers to be useful. Therefore, he asked for permission to enroll at the Lodonia Magic Academy. His father accepted this request, but even though his father had the authority, Saikyou had to pass the exam with his own abilities. Saikyou had one more request, and he wanted Yeva to accompany him as a servant while at the academy because he had no talent for magic. His father had refused, but after practicing controlling natural spirits for a long time, Yeva was able to show that he could use intermediate-level magic. In this way, his request was accepted. Meanwhile, Gray protested because his adopted sister had taken away his opportunity to study there. Because he didn't accept it, Gray challenged Saikyou to a duel. The winner would enroll in the academy, and if he lost, he would have to leave the house. Saikyou didn't mind at all. They would hold a duel according to the general rules of the empire. However, Gray couldn't wait to duel with him. If he was challenged to a duel in front of the house without paying attention to the conditions given by his father, Gray thought that Saikyou was just lucky. He happened to find a monster and happened to defeat it, even though in fact Saikyou had prepared all this months ago. He investigated what monsters were in the forest and then ordered his father to drive him out of there. It didn't take long. Gray immediately cast intermediate level magic, but any attack he issued didn't work on Saikyou, using Esiola's amulet to lock Gray's movements. Then when Gray couldn't move, he threatened him while playing with his hands. In the spring, Saikyou and Yeva were about to leave for the academy. Because their father was not there, they only said goodbye to Loop's older brother. While the train was moving, Saikyou gave a magic stone to Yeva. Because the stronger Yeva was, Saikyou would also benefit. They were both really looking forward to it, but it didn't matter. Saikyou ended up getting motion sick. At the same time, his father was thinking about Saikyou. He remembered when there was a woman who left Saikyou in the rain. A baby with black hair and black eyes was once in this country. Therefore, Loop kept his distance from Saikyou, and Gray considered him an enemy. The first magic he demonstrated was not fireball. His father suspected it was a burning seed. Apart from that, there was something strange when Saikyou fought the monster. He felt as if the monster had been poisoned. His father felt guilty for his biological son, but sending Saikyou to the army of soldiers was very dangerous. Saikyou and Yeva have arrived at the inn. They will stay overnight before registering for the academy. Currently, Saikyou is the complete owner of Yeva, so Yeva hopes to be able to share a room with him. However, Saikyou had already booked 2 rooms. She also didn't understand Yeva's true wishes. Yuki explains that the girl likes him. Yeva intends to take advantage of his status as a slave to get Saikyou to sleep with him. Saikyou didn't believe what he said. After all, he wasn't interested in things like that either. The next day, they left for the academy. The first test they had to pass was to measure magic power. When they heard that Saikyou came from a noble family, people had high hopes for her, but everyone was immediately disappointed because she didn't have magical energy. Then a girl who came from an ordinary citizen tried to register. The result was that she had strong energy and mastered all the elements at once. Saikyou is attracted to him. At first glance, he feels that his appearance is similar to someone he knows. Because her preparation was too sudden, Yeva was worried about her written exam results. While Saikyou was fine, she tried to encourage Yeva to improve in the practical exam. During the practical exam, each participant only showed one element. The results also looked ordinary. Then when Yeva's turn came, she surprised everyone with her fire magic powers. Apart from fire magic, she also mastered wind element magic, which was very amazing. Saikyou was surprised because it was the first time seeing Yeva using wind magic. Next, it was Saikyou's turn. People already knew he had no magical energy, so they asked what he was going to do. Saikyou calmly showed the elements of fire, earth, water, and ice. She made everyone shocked and confused because her magic power was very unique. Apart from the 2 of them, the prospective student named Onmyouji is also very talented. She managed to destroy all objects with all her elements. The exam results have been released. Saikyou is in 3rd place, while Yeva is in 2nd place. Meanwhile, Onmyouji got 1st place. As a person who had taught Yeva, he did not expect to lose to her in the written exam. After that, they attended the entrance ceremony. On the way, Saikyou found a very suspicious magic circle. Just in case, Saikyou prepared an amulet there before they left. Then when Onmyouji gave her opening remarks, suddenly a monster appeared from the magic circle. They entered the school hall as if they were looking for someone. The students tried to fight the monster, but their attacks were useless because its magical abilities were very weak. From a distance, Saikyou will try to help them all, but it doesn't seem necessary because Onmyouji has already moved first. While Onmyouji was facing the monsters, Saikyou checked the magic circle to solve the main cause. There he finds a metal demon who has the ability to summon monsters. By using another dimensional gate, Saikyou takes one of the monsters summoned by his enemy. Then he tried to attack it using several talismans. Ordinary talisman attacks didn't work at all because the demon could use Saikyou's teleportation magic. Instead, it was cornered and hit by a deadly attack. For a moment, Saikyou looked dead, but in fact, he was still standing there without the slightest injury. The demon didn't understand why Saikyou came back to life, but he was more curious about why his sword disappeared when it hit him. From then on, the fight became more heated. Saikyou jumped to avoid the large sword that was thrown. Then he released very strong water magic. When hit by a puddle of water, the demon fled with his teleportation magic. Then Saikyou tried to trick him by pretending to hit his nest. Finally, he summoned a dragon to devour the demon to death.
Mizuchi. 竜とドラゴンじゃない。
The chaos caused by the devil was finally able to subside. A month after entering the academy, Saikyou found a goal that he had to achieve. His plan in this life was very simple. He only needed to make friends with strong people and get the good parts. Onmyouji has the potential to be the strongest person he refers to, but he has difficulty becoming friends with her because she is unfriendly and difficult to approach. Onmyouji was asked by her teacher to help deliver a list of names as an offering, but even though she used the opportunity to approach Onmyouji, he told Yeva to refuse the assignment so he could take her place. Yeva thought that Onmyouji was the type of girl that Saikyou liked, but because Saikyou said he only wanted to help her, Yeva was willing to help him. Then when the day of the ceremony arrived, Saikyou walked together with Onmyouji to the temple in the forest. Onmyouji asked what Saikyou intended to do. She thought that Saikyou was not satisfied with his slave and wanted to touch his classmate. Saikyou said that his relationship with Yeva was not like that, but Onmyouji still thought that Saikyou had done something indecent with him. On the way, they found a magic circle, and then the magic circle immediately activated and moved them both into the dungeon. In the darkness, Onmyouji attacked the monsters that were attacking. Saikyou also helped her with a pole stab attack. Onmyouji just found out that such magic exists, and since Saikyou comes from a noble family, she can use that as an excuse. Instead of remaining silent, they decided to look for the exit. Onmyouji said the chances of survival in the dungeon were very low, so even veteran adventurers would not accept such a job. After a while of walking, a stronger-looking figure came towards them. Onmyouji faced it with confidence, and because of her carelessness, she was hit by a fairly strong attack. When Onmyouji fainted, Saikyou took advantage of the opportunity to unleash her true strength. She summoned a giant centipede to fight all the enemies who attacked her. After which, she accompanied Onmyouji until she woke up, because her body was in good condition. Onmyouji asked if Saikyou could use healing magic too, but even though her wounds had been healed, Onmyouji still felt sick, especially in the head. It turned out that the pain was caused by the effects of a curse, but because Onmyouji didn't find any signs of the curse, she asked Saikyou to check in areas she couldn't see. Saikyou also didn't find any signs of a curse. What was clear was that if the barrier was effective, Saikyou could confirm that it was really a curse, so Saikyou would take out an amulet to replace the pain. Putting this aside, Onmyouji brings up her relationship with Yeva again. Onmyouji realizes that Yeva has feelings for Saikyou. It didn't take long for Saikyou and Onmyouji to move again. At the end of the road, they found the boss's room. Inside there was a giant monster called a dragon. At first, Onmyouji advised not to go in there, but because Saikyou believed she could defeat the creature if she was with her, they decided to just fight it. Before the enemy gets a foothold, Saikyou launches a pole thrust, while Onmyouji uses wind magic to attract attention. When Saikyou attacked him with spear-shaped explosive magic, then Onmyouji exploded him using her fire magic. That's how they were able to defeat the dungeon boss. Onmyouji immediately approached Saikyou happily, saying that the two of them were very compatible even though they had just formed a party. After his business with Onmyouji was finished, Saikyou went to the person who was the mastermind. Saikyou did not hesitate to kill him because he was the devil's spy who caused the recent incidents. Since then, there have been no more demon attacks. Saikyou and the others were able to advance to class without any further incidents. This made him a little disappointed even though he had installed amulets all over the academy. The next day, Yeva and Saikyou were summoned by the school principal. Since seeing him, Saikyou realized that the principal was not human. He was a dwarf who belonged to the devil class. The reason the principal called him was he told him to take part in a tournament being held in the capital. The school would send a new student named Mebel and one of his Saikyous or servants. Knowing that Saikyou and her underclassmen were the only ones who were called made Onmyouji jealous of them. As the student with the highest grades, Onmyouji felt dissatisfied because she was not invited. According to her, casting magic on other people could be said to be difficult. Unlike a sword, if it was hit, the injury would not be light. Only people. It's just crazy who doesn't hesitate to direct magic, and Saikyou becomes the person he intended. As they walked outside the academy building, Onmyouji talked badly about the new students the principal had chosen because he didn't accept it. Mebel denied his words and then found out that Onmyouji was weak and talked a lot because he dared to say that. Onmyouji challenged him to a sword duel. Just by looking at her stance, Saikyou could tell she was as well trained as Onmyouji. It didn't take long. Onmyouji immediately attacked first. Mebel was able to repel his attack and made him lose in a short time. Onmyouji didn't lose because he was weak. He only lost because he didn't use magic, while Furniture used dark magic to strengthen his weapons. After defeating Onmyouji, Mebel warned Saikyou to withdraw right now. According to him, it's not a normal tournament without anyone getting hurt. Even though he was warned, Saikyou will still take part in the tournament. They left for the capital in a horse-drawn carriage. Saikyou asked why Yeva and Onmyouji were there because Yeva was her servant, so it was natural for her to come along. But Onmyouji just wanted to watch the match without permission from the principal. When he arrived at the capital, Furniture just left, while Saikyou was still on the train because he was still motion sick. Instead of going to the tournament field, Yeva took him to the inn, but he chose to go to the arena to see the notice board. After finishing his business, Saikyou said he would rest at the inn, even though he was actually going to find out the reason why the academy sent him. A few moments later, the capital tournament was about to begin. Each participant was allowed to use magic or weapons to destroy the amulet that protected his opponent. The organizers probably intended to use the amulet to minimize the risk of injury, but in a magician battle, its effectiveness was questionable. The first match was a match between Saikyou and a mercenary, and Denise felt lucky because she was fighting a noble announcer in the first round. She was very confident that she could kill 10 magicians at once before they finished casting the spell. Saikyou said that her condition was not good anymore, therefore she would end this as soon as possible. When Denise attacked, Saikyou dodged it at high speed. Then in the next second, she immediately threw him away. The audience didn't know what happened, but they immediately cheered because the fight was amazing.
あいつらは前衛から呪文を唱えている。
少し頭が痛くてね。だからさっさと終わろう。
では1回戦第1開始です。
さよなら。今日のそう。発見。
聖火ランプローグ選手です。何？目にも止まらぬ動き。何らかの魔法でしょう。
死ぬことはないだろう。
In the next match, something tense happened, where the participant stopped his enemy's movements and killed him in front of everyone. Even though the match had taken a toll, the match was still continued. In this match, Saikyou faced a witch who used a doll. Her enemies said that her doll was prepared specifically against witches, so he told Saikyou to quickly surrender while he had the chance. Saikyou responded calmly. He summoned a sickle ferret to destroy his opponent's puppet in an instant, after which his enemy was immediately frightened. Saikyou was able to return his words to quickly surrender while he could. Yeva was very worried about her master's condition. After seeing someone die in the match, he tried to persuade Saikyou to resign. Saikyou said it would be safe. In his heart, Saikyou thought that this match was like playing with a small dog. Next was a match between the furniture and an experienced magician. The magician started the fight using intermediate magic, but because the furniture could cut through his attacks easily, he began to cast spells to use high-level magic. High-level magic requires complex spells and long spells, while furniture can attack continuously without even casting a spell. Furniture uses gravity magic to increase the weight of the weapon so that no matter how hard the opponent's defense is, it can be destroyed easily. In the end, the furniture can approach the enemy and destroy the opponent's stick. With this, the enemy has no choice but to surrender. After his victory, people started to call furniture as heroes. The reason is because his name and appearance are similar to heroes in history. In the evening, someone sent a message with a pigeon. Saikyou openly asked the contents of the message given to the pigeon, while the person pretended not to know. Then he wanted to secretly try to attack him from behind. Saikyou had expected that, because he had been watching them lately, because he didn't want to answer her questions. Saikyou summoned Satori to ask his soul. Satori is a summoned creature who has the power to read minds. With this, no matter how hard he tries to keep his secret, the answer will definitely be found out. Through Satori, Saikyou can find out who they are reporting to. He can also know the purpose of the actions they have been carrying out. It turned out that everything was related to the hero, because the demon spies who had previously been defeated were watching the furniture and suspected him of being the new hero. The reason was because his birth year matched the prediction, his gender and hair color were also the same, and his sword skills were very strong. After getting enough information, Saikyou gave the person to Satori too.
よくやってくれた。じゃあ、食っていいぞ。
Saikyou's opponent in the third round was a corpse generator, and of course such a person was no match for him. Furniture could also pass him easily. Then he told Saikyou to step down because he couldn't lose this match. Saikyou refused to back down if he wanted to win the match. He wanted to be beaten fairly and honestly. Next was the match between the Magic Knights and the biggest assassin in this tournament. Renas used protective magic to avoid the influence of Kyle's demon eye, but even though his demon eye had no effect, Renas couldn't stop his enemy's movements. Just like furniture, Kyle can control gravity. He can also attack with shadows thanks to his darkness element. In the end, Kyle won and advanced to the final round. In the evening after watching the match, Mabel suddenly attacked Saikyou brutally. Fortunately, Saikyou realized this so he could immediately dodge and defend himself, while Mabel, who was already discovered, chose to run away from him. So he did not let her go just like that. He returned to see her to ask why Mabel did such a thing. It turns out that Mabel's reason for attacking him was to get Saikyou to withdraw from the match. If she fought against him, she felt he could not control himself. So the possibility is that Saikyou will be injured. In addition, she also has the goal of defeating Kyle and freeing him from the influence of the mercenary. After listening to her story, Saikyou decided to continue participating in the tournament. He would defeat Kyler in the finals and protect Mabel from the people who were targeting her. The next day, Saikyou fought against Mabel. In that match, Mabel used her real weapon and no longer pretended to be a hero. Even so, Saikyou had various ways to defeat her. He used a talisman to weigh down her weapon and then stopped her movement by using vines. He then pointed his weapon at Mabel. As a result, the committee ended the match. With this, Saikyou successfully advanced to the finals. He would fight against Kyle, or the mercenary who is Mabel's brother. A few moments after the match began, Saikyou used thick fog to obscure the view. Then he summoned a giant creature that was far stronger than his enemy. The attack launched by the creature rendered Kyle helpless. He lost consciousness because of the attack, and Kyle was also in pain because there was a curse inside his body. Saikyou had the ability to save him, but he couldn't do it because he was afraid his power would be revealed. If his power was revealed, then all his efforts would be in vain. With this, the match was over and Saikyou became the winner. After that, Saikyou immediately met Mabel, and he told her the last words of her brother before he died. Because Mabel had no purpose, Saikyou persuaded her to return to the academy. Then they gathered again with their friends and explained the situation that had happened. Before returning to the academy, Amy challenged Mabel to fight her. In that duel, Mabel was not allowed to use magic. Amy herself was allowed to use it as a concession because Mabel had once defeated her.
いいけど。いいじゃない。あんた。始め。前より。何したかっただけ？お、なめないことね。自分でお兄さんに勝ちたかったんじゃん。絶対お兄さんの後大会に出たのも。
With this, there was still a grudge between them, and they were able to return to the academy without any problems. The headmaster was satisfied with the results. Thanks to Saikyou, the school was able to save Mabel, and the enemy also lost their strongest person. The reason the headmaster cared about Mabel was because Mabel was blessed with power. In addition, she could also be used to hide the existence of heroes. During the summer vacation, Saikyou got a task to replace his father. Amy and Mabel wanted to go with him, but because their parents were waiting for them, Saikyou forbade them. On the journey, Saikyou only invited Yiva while the others went on vacation at their respective homes. A few moments later, Prince Casilio came to meet Saikyou. He wanted to discuss the work that would be done by him. The Asteria dragon had lived in harmony with the people for over 100 years, but over the past year, the dragon had become erratic and caused a lot of damage. The farms and fields of the citizens had become its target to meet its food needs. Therefore, Saikyou was assigned to go to the Asteria region to investigate it. In addition to having business with Saikyou, the prince was also interested in Yiva. This made Saikyou and the others worried that the prince would do something inappropriate. Shortly after that, Saikyou and Yiva left the academy with the prince and his guards. Upon arriving at the old capital of Asteria, they immediately met the dragon flying around the area. Then a mercenary drove the dragon away. He used a summoned creature, which endangered the people around him. The incident made Yival almost get hurt. That's why Saikyou didn't accept it and questioned why Cecilio hired him. The reason Cecilio hired the mercenary was to kill the dragon. He thought that was the only way to solve this problem. Saikyou doubted the mercenary's ability, so he asked the prince to reconsider, especially because his servant was in danger. Saikyou also became carried away, provoking the mercenary. The next day, Saikyou decided to look at the dragon documents in the library. When he read them, he found information that this situation had happened in the past. The reason the dragon was strengthening its vigilance was because it was laying eggs. After knowing this, Saikyou was going to confirm it by looking at its nest directly. In the evening, Cecilio ordered his servant to invite Yiva to his place. Yiva certainly did not want to obey. She asked permission to sleep in Saikyou's place because she was afraid if she was alone. In the same place, Saikyou brought up the problem with the prince. He asked Yiva to be honest, because becoming the prince's concubine was an honor. Saikyou's words made Yiva very sad. She felt that Saikyou did not need her and wanted to let her go with the prince. In the morning, Yuki told Saikyou that he had been cruel to Yiva. Although Yuki was not human, she had long realized that the girl liked Saikyou. However, Saikyou still did not believe her. He even allowed the prince to have her if Yiva wanted it. But before that, he asked Cecilio what part of Yiva he liked. Cecilio said that he was attracted to her beauty and the aura of wisdom that emanated from her. Therefore, even though Saikyou and Yiva were already very close, he did not care. After that, Saikyou asked permission to climb the mountain where his dragon lived. Cecilio thought that Saikyou would not be back for a few days, so he would use the opportunity to persuade Yiva become his concubine again. When Saikyou and Yiva were at the dragon's nest, suddenly there were mercenaries who attacked them. It seemed that they had lied to the prince and were planning to steal the dragon's eggs. Saikyou could not let this happen, so with the help of Yiva, the enemy's summoned creatures were repelled and defeated until there were none left. Even though his summoned creatures had been defeated, Jack still did not give up. He ordered his troops to attack, although he was not sure he could win. However, because the dragon started to move, they became scared and chose to flee. In addition, Yeva also managed to burn his spellbook, so Jack could not fight back. After capturing the mercenaries, Saikyou brought them before the prince. He also reported on the dragon, which had been acting strangely lately. Even though he was told that the dragon was guarding its eggs, Prince Saikyou still asked Saikyou to kill it. He wanted to make the case as a real achievement so that he could be accepted as the crown prince. Saikyou flatly refused his request, and Saikyou not accepting it would detain him on false charges and take Yeva from him. Initially, Saikyou intended not to resist, but because his goal was Yeva, Saikyou immediately said all his frustrations and said that he would not give Yeva to someone like him. Seeing the incident made Liz laugh. She stopped the dispute and suggested listening to Yeva's feelings. Yeva said she felt honored, but she rejected his offer and chose to return to the academy with Saikyou. One time, Saikyou asked Onmyouji for help to meet his family. He had received a letter from them inviting him home for the spring break. Besides Onmyouji, Mabel was also invited by him. Saikyou was sure that his father would be happy to meet another noble princess like himself. When they arrived at his family's residence, Saikyou immediately introduced his friends to his father. Then his older brother named Glai came and suddenly challenged him to a duel. It seemed that he still hadn't forgotten the incident in the past, when Saikyou defeated him. Before Glai could fight Saikyou, Onmyouji decided to become his opponent. They had a sword duel without using magic. In a short time, Glai was able to defeat Onmyouji. Then when Glai was about to challenge Saikyou, the holy princess named Fiona came to stop them. Fiona was the holy princess, heir to the bloodline of Miko and the royal family. Saikyou deliberately did not tell anyone that Fiona was there because he thought it would be too much trouble. Moreover, the reason Onmyouji was invited to his house was also Fiona's request. She really wanted to meet someone who looked like a hero and make him her knight. But because that was very difficult to do, she requested to accompany him back to the capital. In the evening, they had dinner together. At the same time, Saikyou talked about his daily life at school and his journey when he met the dragon. Because Saikyou was very close to Yeva, Fiona asked about their relationship. Yeva explained that she was Saikyou's servant, while his father, who heard the conversation, was reminded of Yeva's father, who opposed his daughter becoming Saikyou's servant. When Saikyou was in his room, Onmyouji came to see him. She wanted to relax a bit because being polite at that house was quite tiring. In addition to coming to rest, Onmyouji also wanted to know what Saikyou wanted to do after graduating. Since they had promised to go on an adventure, Onmyouji wanted to make sure if Saikyou remembered the promise, and it turned out that Saikyou still remembered it. Besides, Saikyou needed someone stronger than him to hide his true strength.
やっぱり後頭部に進学。私はやっぱり家に他に思いつかないし。そうか。そういうのが自分にあって。俺はもういいでしょ。あんな約束本気。冒険者のことはよく卒業したらいろ。しょうがないわね。また一緒に冒険。ああ、約束だ。じゃあね、聖火。おやすみ。忘れるわけないだろう。
On the next day, Saikyou accompanied the princess around the city. Besides Saikyou, Glai and Onmyouji also accompanied her to replace the guards. When they arrived at the market, Fiona invited Saikyou to hold hands so they wouldn't get separated. This made Fiona feel happy because they looked like a couple. The arrival of their group attracted a lot of attention, especially when Onmyouji and Glai protected her from falling objects. Princess Fiona was upset because Saikyou was silent and did nothing, when she really hoped that Saikyou would be the first to save her. As everyone was looking at her, Glai reminded the princess and the others to go home immediately. Before going home, Saikyou visited a stall and gave Fiona a gift. Fiona had never received a gift like that before, so she became cheerful again and forgot about the problem that had just happened. Saikyou was happy that Fiona liked it, and he planned to give her an even better gift next time. In the afternoon, Saikyou went to see Glai, who was practicing, and seeing him practice diligently made Saikyou think that it was only right that the princess chose Glai as her bodyguard. But the real reason was not because of that. Glai felt that Fiona chose him because she had a certain purpose. He had the ability to see the future and act according to what was predicted. Fiona seemed to like Saikyou so much. She always looked for him everywhere and wanted to talk to him together, while Saikyou always avoided her. He didn't want to be involved with her because it could be a threat. Then when Saikyou met Onmyouji suggested to accompany Fiona. Onmyouji saw Fiona looked lonely because no one accompanied her. Saikyou followed the advice. When Fiona was playing chess alone, she immediately met her to play against her. Fiona is very good at playing chess. That's why no one wants to play with her, because they feel they will not win. Even though he had no chance of winning, Saikyou still fought him. He was also brave enough to make a bet, where the loser had to obey the wishes of the winner. As they played chess, they talked about everything from who the strongest chess piece was to the problems of the political world. Saikyou also brought up Fiona's ability to see the future. He had learned about it from his brother, but even before he was told, he had already had a good idea. Saikyou asked if she would use her power to help the empire, but Fiona denied it. She said that even if she could see the future, it could not be changed, so she chose to live her life according to her own will. After that, Fiona told Saikyou that he had lost the game of chess, so she immediately started thinking about what she should ask him. In another place, a group of demons were on a killing spree. They had slaughtered everyone in their path, and one of them had the ability to assess strength. He planned to use his power to gather an army and attack the hero.
さっきからずっとゾルさんはしないでくださいよ。
皆のおかげで負担が少ムデレブピリスラリアはジャガン黒の一族のこの旅でさらに強く力を見通すしっかり補給をしておいてくれ思い悩んだりもしたが目的を完遂するためなぜこれが自分にその
Meanwhile, Saikyou was preparing to escort the princess to the capital. With a large escort of troops and carriages, they hoped to prevent any unwanted incidents. In the middle of the journey, Saikyou asked Guy what he would do if they were attacked. He had already sensed that a group of bandits were targeting them, and shortly after, the lead carriage was destroyed. The bandits immediately revealed themselves and launched a surprise attack. Saikyou quickly exited the carriage. He deliberately stood on top of it to lure the enemy's attention. Then, when all the enemies had run out of arrows, Guy ordered his troops to counterattack. When the troops and the bandits attacked each other, Princess Fiona asked Saikyou to capture them all alive. Saikyou then used plant magic to successfully capture them all. Due to leaving early, Yeva and her friends were not involved, but they had to regroup and turn around to ensure the situation. Meanwhile, the bandits will be taken to the capital. Fiona will investigate who ordered them to be used as evidence against her political enemies. It seems that Fiona had predicted this, so they did not lack carriages to take them all. Fiona also knew that there were other groups out there, but they would never come because they had been attacked. Upon arriving at the academy, Saikyou was asked by the headmaster to give a welcome speech for the new students. Usually, Saikyou would refuse to carry out such a conspicuous task like that, but this time he accepted it so that he would look like a normal person. It didn't take long for the group of demons that were targeting Amai to arrive at the academy. They were intending to cause a commotion and commit murder. Zur was very confident that they could complete their mission, because even though their opponent was a hero, he thought the hero was still a child. However, none of them could meet the hero, because Saikyou had done something so that the group of demons could not go anywhere. Mabel faced off directly with one of the demons. Her fighting strength was not too far apart, but because the demon had magical resistance, Mabel was overwhelmed and was saved by Saikyou.
何を言っているのかは
ここから先には
一撃が重すこの身のこなし軽い
私もこれくらいできる
ゾルムネムが言うところ絡めてなど使わず
The thick fog that covered the academy grounds made the group of demons gather back to their original position. This made them realize that something was wrong, and because the situation was not normal, their captain decided not to continue their mission. At that moment, Saikyou began to reveal himself. He made the demons confused because he suddenly appeared above while reciting a poem. As a demon who can assess strength, Zar could not say anything when he saw Saikyou. He immediately despaired because the person they were facing was the most terrifying demon who sided with humans, while his subordinates tried to attack, but the attacks were not effective because Saikyou had various ways to overcome them. To counter the attack from the power of the demon's eye, Saikyou summoned a giant snake with the ability to see. The result of the demon's gaze was so strong that it made his opponent start to hurt until it stopped his heartbeat. Saikyou already knew that they came to kill the hero, so he asserted they couldn't do it because he himself was protecting him. After hearing his words, Zor immediately ordered his partner to leave, while he himself would stall for time until his partner left using his teleportation magic. At the same time, Saikyou unleashed a very powerful magic attack. The attack made Zor disappear instantly until there was nothing left.
そろそろし早く行け
While the other demon managed to escape from Saikyou, but he could not escape from the curse that had been planted in his body. After all the demons were defeated, Mabel immediately approached him. Mabel asked Saikyou where the demon that had attacked him was. Saikyou asked her not to worry because all the demons were already defeated. Mabel was also asked to keep this incident a secret from the others. After that, all the students gathered at the new student welcome event. They gathered and enjoyed the various foods that had been provided by the academy. Until then, everything looked normal. Then when Saikyou was about to give a speech, suddenly there were knights looking for Onmyouji. It seems they had been ordered to arrest Onmyouji on charges of committing a major crime for eliminating the demon's envoy. Although Onmyouji was arrested on false charges, Saikyou chose to remain calm and avoid a commotion. He held back his friend from fighting back and complied with the knight. The headmaster said that it was true that a demon had come to the academy, so he asked who had killed it. Saikyou did not blame the headmaster for allowing them to capture his student, but because the Empire was trying to find a reason to kill the hero, he wanted to know why. The headmaster did not provide a satisfactory answer, so he decided to rescue Onmyouji on his own. At nightfall, Saikyou summoned a dragon snake and went to the place where Onmyouji was imprisoned. It didn't take long for Saikyou to reach the castle and confront the guards. The castle guards warned him to stop, but because Saikyou did not obey them, they called for reinforcements in large numbers. No matter how many troops were deployed, Saikyou could not be stopped. He easily parried all attacks and retaliated with terrifying magical power. Because it was troublesome, Saikyou massacred the entire army until there was none left. Thanks to his summoned beast, Saikyou was also able to find Onmyouji in a short time, but Onmyouji did not want to run away with him because she was afraid that Saikyou's family would be involved. Saikyou then said that Onmyouji was a hero, a human hero who was reincarnated every 100 years at the same time as the Demon King. There was a reason why she was going to be killed. Those who are without power are very afraid of those who are powerful, so Saikyou asked her to run away. If she stayed there, she would definitely be killed. After a while, a group of soldiers approached him. It turned out that they were Glai and Princess Fiona. Saikyou immediately asked her to explain why Onmyouji was being killed, even though they still had the enemy demons, but instead wasted the advantage of the hero. Fiona answered him by explaining the history of the country. She believed that the Demon King and the hero were relics of the past. As for the reason for killing him, it was because the hero brought the potential to fight against demons. Therefore, they wanted to prevent this from happening by eliminating the existence of the hero. Even so, Fiona decided to help him. She would continue to try to get Onmyouji released from there by persuading the kingdom. However, Saikyou did not trust Fiona's words just like that. Rather than returning empty-handed, Saikyou chose to take her away. Fiona was disappointed that Saikyou did not trust her, but she supported his decision and helped him escape with enough supplies. This made Saikyou realize that Fiona was still on his side. In return for not following her request, Saikyou used his power to resurrect all the troops he had defeated. Fiona thought this was troublesome, as she planned to tell everyone that there was a demon attacking her destination so that the kingdom would not kill the hero. But because Saikyou's nature was like that, Fiona tolerated his actions. That's why Fiona told them to leave immediately to the next country. From a distance, Fiona spoke to a mysterious shadow figure. She told the shadow that the person who had just spoken to her was the current generation Demon King. She could tell because she used her powers repeatedly to meet him when she was a child. This is the end of Saikyou Onmyouji no Isekai Tenseki Season 1 and 2. Thank you very much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you up to date with our latest content. See you in the next video.